The love of automobiles definitely comes through my dad. I've been told that I was raised on the tank of a Sportster, holding on to the handlebars as a little kid. But more than that, I remember as a 6, 7-year-old kid helping my dad work on his 32 Ford. Sometimes to where I'd rather be out working or riding my bicycle, but Dad had me working on the car with him. My name is Mike Graham. I'm a co-owner of Graham's Hot Rod Shop Incorporated in Fresno, California. I have had a lifelong love of automobiles, performance, motorcycles, and I got to attribute that to my dad, Bob Graham. My dad, he loved anything that had performance. He sold Chevrolets from 1955 until 2000. As a kid, I helped my dad in his small shop, so I think I've learned to love the automobiles. It was actually, since he sold the Chevrolets and Oldsmobiles, it was kind of an identity thing for the family. My dad, you know, he had to have a demonstrator as a salesman, so he had to have a new car every year, and a lot of people around town thought that we were pretty well off because we drove a new car, but let me tell you, we weren't well off. It was all we could do to afford for him to have a demonstrator like that, but it kind of taught me that, you know, the automobiles are very important, part of a culture. In fact, it even goes back further than that with my grandpa. He came from Kentucky. He was a coal miner, and in 1939, he needed out of the coal mining business. It was too rough of a life. And I think the old story, the old saying that you owe your soul to the company store, I think it kind of applied in this case. So my grandpa and grandma loaded up my dad and his brother and sister in the middle of the night. They settled in Centerville, California. My grandpa opened up a garage. He's very, very mechanical. So I kind of tied things together through my dad to my grandpa, that this mechanical aptitude or love for it kind of comes down through a few generations in my family. The love of automobiles definitely comes through my dad. This car that's sitting next to me here was my dad's last build. Getting up in age, he wanted a 55 Chevy. We were kind of into the Tri-5s, so he bought this as a complete builder car and spent probably 5, 6, 7 years with a buddy of his in his home shop, slowly building the car. When Dad was building the car, you know, obviously with a build or any hot rod or any classic car, the color of the car is critical. So Dad, since he was in the business of selling Chevrolets and being around new cars, there was a 2006 Corvette color that he really liked, and it's the new tri-coats. That's what he thought he wanted on the car. So we talked quite a bit about it. We thought definitely a two-tone on this would be good with a really bright white with the tri-coat 2000. I think it's called magnetic red is what the color of this tri-coat is on the car. So we had lots of discussions about what we're going to do with the interior. He didn't want bucket seats, so we went with the stock seats, and I was kind of opposed to the white in the seats, but actually with the two-tone of the car, we went with a kind of a reproduction look of a Bel Air type upholstery pattern that we put inside the car. It's the old pleats, a little bit of a tuck and roll, so it's a combination of kind of a you know, a classic 55 Chevy look, but with a little bit of a newer touch with the colors. He was very capable in his life, but in his older years, he was starting to slow down. His hands didn't work like they used to. We opened a spot in the home shop, and this is well before I started the full-time business of Graham's Hot Rod Shop Incorporated. He was elated that the car was here. We basically finished off the car for him, probably last 10-15% of the build. Dad had a motor that he had built that was okay, but he kind of made a comment that he really liked to have a 383 small block stroker motor. So we bought a brand new one for him. My dad wanted a 2.4 setup. He kind of wanted to be old school. So we bought a brand new GM crate motor, the 383 425 horse motor, but we've dressed it up with a 2.4 barrel setup now. It's a Holley Sniper electronic injection system. But we went with old school air cleaners and went with old school valve covers to kind of make it look a little bit retro, kind of you know, back in the day somewhat. But it does have the modern crossflow radiator. It's got the modern power brakes, you know, Wilwood brakes all four corners. We've got headers on it with 2.5-inch exhaust. So it's got all the modern conveniences, but yet it retains its old school attitude of the 55 Chevy. He passed away in 2016 at 81 years old. The last 2 or 3 years of his life, this car was his full-time project, full-time partner. It kept him going. He worked in his little shop, tinkered with it all the time. When Dad passed away, I brought the car home. Any full build, you have some wiring issues, you may have some drivability issues. We had 2 or 3 different transmissions put in the car. So we were definitely working towards refining the car, and I have continued that since I've had the car. I want to make some changes, but nothing that's going to change it from what my dad had planned, at least when you see the car. So it's important to my family, my sisters, my whole family. So I'm very, very proud of this car, and I'm going to continue his legacy by honoring the car. I wish my dad were here to drive the car. It runs so much better. He would, in fact, he's probably smiling down. He sees me driving it and putting a little bit of rubber in it, so I'm sure he'd be happy.